Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for holding this hearing. So TRANSCOM is responsible for making sure that our military and our allies get everything they need to win on the battlefield, whether it is a new engine for a fighter jet in the Middle East or a missile battery in the Philippines. And that means that TRANSCOM knows better than anyone why it is a very big problem if the military doesn't have the right to repair its own equipment. General Reed, one of TRANSCOM's major workhorses is the C-5M Super Galaxy, a strategic transport aircraft that carries cargo and DoD personnel all around the world. But in 2022, it was able to fly its mission only 52% of the time. That means that nearly half the times that commanders needed it, it wasn't there. Congress saw this, said that is not acceptable, and gave the Air Force $10 billion to fix that problem. General Reed, about how often was the C-5 mission ready the next year after you got the money?
What I can tell you is that in 2023, the mission-capable rate of the C-5 was about 46%.
About 46%. So it went from 52% to 46%. So we could reasonably ask what happened. Well, the Air Force said the supply chain for replacement parts had dried up, and when companies can't or won't meet DoD's needs, one option is for the military to actually make the parts themselves so you can get things up and running. It's often cheaper and faster anyway. But you can't do that if big defense contractors slip restrictions into their contracts that deny the military the technical data that they need to be able to make these repairs. So General Reed, it's your responsibility to make sure the warfighter gets everything that they need. How important is it to national security for C-5s to be ready to respond to commanders' requests to carry cargo and personnel?
The C-5 is a key aircraft for us. In some of the things that we may be asked to do in the future, it would actually produce about 20% of the lift for us.
So you need this thing?
Yes, we do.
Ready to go. So TRANSCOM's job is getting harder here because our enemies are making it more difficult to send ships and planes to our troops. As Senator Wicker was talking about a minute ago, this is contested logistics. And TRANSCOM models show that the fight to get into the fight means that getting critical materials to our troops is only going to get harder over time. That means the last thing our troops should be doing is waiting around for contractors who charge more for slower repairs. So, General Reed, do you agree that giving the military more flexibility to repair parts in the field will increase our military readiness?
I do, Senator.
Good. Thank you, General Reed. Senator Grassley and I got a provision into last year's NDAA for the military to start a pilot program to reverse engineer parts for sole source programs. It's a good start, but it is a backstop because reverse engineering can actually take years to get done. But if DoD negotiates with contractors for the right to repair from the start, that means our men and women in uniform get their equipment faster and at a lower cost to the taxpayers. That is exactly what my Service Member Right to Repair Act does. It has bipartisan support here in the Senate and on the committee. What's happening right now is fundamentally wrong, and we can put a stop to it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.